In the mid-90s, Sony's entry into the gaming industry seemed like a massive gamble. Facing the decades of experience held by Nintendo and Sega, Sony saw almost no chance for success, especially given that its powerful rival possessed beloved franchises and characters like Mario and Sonic. However, Sony's ingenious strategy turned the PlayStation 1 into a global success. By the time the sixth generation arrived, the tables had completely turned. The PlayStation 2 was released at a time when old rivals, namely Nintendo and Sega, were struggling. Meanwhile, leveraging the success of the PlayStation 1 and blockbuster titles like Gran Turismo, Final Fantasy, Silent Hill, and Crash Bandicoot, Sony had become a powerhouse in the gaming industry. Combining hardware power with competitive pricing, Sony built a console that not only marginalized its competitors, but also, with a record-breaking 170 million units sold, immortalized its name as the most successful console in video game history. Here, we intend to rank 10 of the best PlayStation 2 titles based on Metacritic scores. Number 10. Devil May Cry. Metascore 94. Release 2001. Release platforms PlayStation 2. Cost $5 to $10 million. Sell 2.1 million copies. Playtime Story Mode 6 hours. Main Plus Extras 8 hours. Completion 17 hours. Devil May Cry, released in 2001, was a title that unintentionally changed the course of action games forever. Directed by Hideki Kamiya, this Capcom masterpiece was originally intended to be a new Resident Evil installment. However, due to its overly fast and distinct gameplay, it was born as the first entry in an independent and legendary franchise. The story revolves around Dante, a demon hunter and half-human, half-demon son of Sparda, the Dark Knight. The adventure begins when a mysterious woman named Trish invites Dante to the dreaded Mallet Island to defeat the demon emperor Mundus. In terms of gameplay, Devil May Cry introduced a new standard known as stylish action. Unlike the slow-paced games of that era, Dante could juggle enemies in the air and execute long combos using a mix of rapid sword play and his famous dual pistols, Ebony and Ivory. The game's challenging and punishing combat system forced gamers to hone their skills to achieve S ranks rather than resorting to mindless button mashing. Graphically, the game was a stunning technical showcase on the PlayStation 2. The gothic environments, dark architecture, and heavy atmosphere ran at 60 frames per second in the NTSC version, which was unparalleled for that time. Critics and gamers praised the game unanimously. A Metascore of 94 stands as a testament to its quality. Critics from GameSpot and IGN hailed its art design and deep combat system as revolutionary. Ultimately, with over 2.1 million copies sold, the game not only vindicated Capcom's huge risk, but also established Dante as one of the most charismatic figures in video game history. Number 9. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Metascore 94. Release 2002. Release platforms PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, PC. Cost $5 million. Sell 2.5 million copies. Playtime Story Mode 10 hours. Main Plus Extras 15 hours. Completion 25 hours. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, released in 2002, is the fourth installment of this seminal franchise and another masterpiece from the creative minds at Neversoft. Its release coincided with an era when sports games, especially extreme and street sports, were at the peak of their popularity and glory, dominating a huge portion of the market. This stands in stark contrast to the current landscape, where the genre is almost exclusively monopolized by football soccer titles, which have themselves faced criticism and declining popularity in recent years. In such a climate, Activision proved once again, with the release of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, that it was the undisputed king of the genre. Gameplay-wise, this entry was a total game changer. Unlike the previous 3 iterations that shackled players to a 2-minute timer, the 4th game removed the clock, replacing it with a semi-open world, free-roaming experience. Now players could freely skate across massive environments like a college campus or a zoo, talk to locals, and take on wacky missions. Although the game lacks a dramatic linear narrative, the career mode featuring real-life pros perfectly conveyed the sense of progression and becoming a street legend. Visually, the game was a stellar technical showcase on the PlayStation 2. Environments were significantly larger and more dynamic than in Pro Skater 3, and animation for bailing or pulling off tricks were designed with precise detail. The soundtrack, true to the series' tradition, was an incredible collection of punk and rock tracks that doubled the excitement. Critics and outlets like IGN and GameSpot praised these radical shifts, and a Metascore of 94 is a testament to its unmatched quality. Gamers hailed the new freedom as revolutionary. Selling over 2.5 million copies, the game not only achieved massive commercial success, but also went down in history as one of the last survivors of the golden age of action sports games. Number 8. Madden NFL 2003, Metascore 95. Release 2002. Release platforms PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, PC. Cost $4 million. Sell 5 million copies. Madden NFL 2003, released in 2002, was far more than a mere annual update. It stands as a shining highlight in the long history of the Madden series. As the 13th main installment of this storied franchise, developed by EA Tiburon and published by EA Sports, it redefined what a sports game could be. While sports games typically lack a story in the traditional sense, the incredible depth of franchise mode allowed players to step into the shoes of a GM and coach, crafting the narrative of their favorite team's rise over 30 consecutive seasons, a feature unprecedented for its time. Visually, Madden 2003 marked a significant leap forward. Player animation were smoother, stadium lighting appeared realistic, and the facial details of NFL stars were remarkable for the PlayStation 2 hardware. However, the real trump card lay in the gameplay. The debut of the minicamp mode allowed players to hone their skills through engaging minigames. Additionally, the inclusion of legendary commentator Al Michaels alongside John Madden perfected the game's broadcast style atmosphere. Critics and the gaming community greeted the title with historic acclaim. Achieving a Metascore of 95, it stands as one of the most highly praised sports games in history. Outlets like IGN and GameSpot lauded the improved AI and new defensive controls. Commercially, the game was a massive success. Selling approximately 5 million copies, it cemented Electronic Arts' position as the undisputed king of sports games during the 6th console generation. Madden 2003 was a gold standard in game design, not just for American football fans, but for gamers everywhere. Number 7. Gran Turismo 3, A-Spec, Metascore 95. Release 2001. Release platforms PlayStation 2. Cost $10 million. Sell 14.9 million copies. Playtime Story Mode 17 hours. Main plus extras 24 hours. Completion 38 hours. Released in 2001, Gran Turismo 3. A-Spec wasn't just a racing game, It was the show of force Sony needed to prove the PlayStation 2's potential. Developed by the perfectionists at Polyphony Digital and led by industry genius Kazunori Yamauchi, this title arrived at a time when the concept of a real driving simulator on consoles was virtually unrivaled. With Forza Motorsport not yet in existence and other races leaning heavily on arcade mechanics, GT3 ruled supreme. While it lacked a cinematic story, the Gran Turismo mode offered an epic and addictive journey, taking players from buying a cheap used car to mastering the fastest Formula One machines through sheer grit and progression. Visually, GT3 was a technological miracle. The leap from the PS1 era to the century was arguably the biggest visual jump in racing history. But this stunning quality came with a trade-off. The developer chose quality over quantity. While Gran Turismo 2 was famous for its massive roster of 650 cars, GT3 scaled this back to around 180 vehicles. In exchange, however, every single car was rebuilt with incredible detail. From light reflecting off polished curves to heat haze shimmering over hot asphalt, everything ran at a smooth 60 frames per second, a level of realism previously unseen on home consoles. The world was left in awe. With a staggering Metascore of 95, sites like IGN and GameSpot hailed its graphics and depth as unrivaled. It didn't just win over critics. With 14.9 million copies sold, it became the best-selling game in the entire franchise and the second best-selling PS2 title ever, cementing Sony's place as the undisputed king of racing sims in the 6th generation. Number 6. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Metascore 95. Release 2002. Release platforms PlayStation 2, Windows, Xbox. Cost $5 million. Sell 17.5 million copies. Playtime, story mode 17 hours, main plus extras 25 hours, completion 38 hours. If Grand Theft Auto 3 kicked open the door to the 3D open world genre, Grand Theft Auto Vice City walked through it with unmatched style, setting the artistic benchmark for the entire medium. Released in 2002, just a year after its predecessor, it stands as the second entry in the 3D trilogy and the 6th overall installment in the franchise. The genius minds at Rockstar North brilliantly shifted their focus from mere technical advancements to pure atmosphere, resulting in one of the most enduring experiences in entertainment history. Set in 1986, in the fictional Vice City, heavily inspired by Miami, the story follows Tommy Vercetti, brought to life by the immortal voice of Ray Liotta. Fresh out of prison and ambushed during a drug deal, Tommy must now build his criminal empire from the ground up. Gameplay-wise, Vice City polished the rough edges of the previous game while introducing exciting new mechanics. The addition of motorcycles and helicopters multiplied the freedom of traversal, while the property acquisition system allowed players to truly feel like a rising mafia kingpin. Visually, the game's color palette, a vibrant mix of neon pinks, oceanic blues, and orange sunsets, gave it a unique identity that remains striking even 2 decades later. Combining this visual with one of the greatest soundtracks ever curated, featuring 80s pop, rock, and metal masterpieces, made immersion inevitable. Critics heaped praise upon the game at launch, and a Metascore of 95 confirms its masterpiece status. But beyond the reviews, Vice City holds a special place in the hearts of gamers. With over 16 million copies sold, it didn't just conquer the sales charts, it forged an eternal memory for an entire generation. Number 5. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Metascore 95. Release 2004. Release platforms PlayStation 2, Windows, Xbox. Cost $10 million. Sell 27.5 million copies. Playtime, story mode 30 hours, main plus extras 45 hours, completion 71 hours. When Grand Theft Auto San Andreas released in 2004, it wasn't merely a new game, it was a cultural phenomenon that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible on a console. Developed by the wizards at Rockstar North, this unparalleled masterpiece, the 7th overall title and the 3rd in the 3D universe, carried a heavy burden to surpass the massive success of Vice City. Set against the backdrop of the early 90s, the game weaves an epic and engaging narrative around Carl C.J. Johnson, who returns to the chaotic neighborhood of Grove Street following his mother's murder. Unlike previous entries confined to a single city, San Andreas was an entire state featuring 3 distinct metropolises: Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas, along with vast forests, deserts, and countryside. In terms of gameplay, it stands as the most revolutionary entry in the franchise's history. Rockstar introduced deep RPG elements, allowing players to alter CJ's physical physique, gaining fat or muscle, upgrade driving and shooting skills, and customize the character with tattoos and clothing. The ability to swim, engage in turf wars, commit burglaries, and pilot various aircraft added insane variety to the experience. Visually, while the PlayStation 2's hardware limitations occasionally caused frame rate drops, creating such a massive world with 0 loading screens between cities was a technical miracle. The atmosphere was perfected by a star-studded cast including Samuel L. Jackson and a legendary radio soundtrack playing the best of 90s hip-hop and rock. The reception was beyond imagination. Critics at IGN and GameSpot praised Rockstar's unmatched ambition, and a Metascore of 95 stomped its quality. But beyond the numbers lies its place in the hearts of fans. It is no exaggeration to say that for many hardcore fans, critics, and myself included, San Andreas, thanks to its boundless freedom, strong storytelling, and living world, is not only the best entry in the GTA series, but one of the most complete and greatest games in the history of the industry, a feat that may never be repeated. With a staggering 17.3 million copies sold on the PS2 alone, this legend became the best-selling game in the console's history, immortalizing its name forever. Number 4. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Metascore 96. Release 2001. Release platforms PlayStation 2. Cost $10 million. Sell 7 million copies. Playtime story mode 13 hours. Main plus extras 15 hours. Completion 28 hours. When Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty was released in 2001, expectations were so impossibly high that perhaps no other entertainment product could have met them. This title, the 4th in the Metal Gear series and the 2nd in the Solid sub-series, was created by Konami and the creative mind of Hideo Kojima. If the first game on PS1 defined the stealth genre, MGS2 arrived to shatter the boundaries of video game narrative. The story begins with the famous tanker chapter featuring the legendary Solid Snake, but in the boldest deception in gaming history, Kojima handed control of the main game to a new, inexperienced rookie named Raiden. The sudden shift and the removal of Snake from the spotlight were met with severe criticism and the fury of many fans at the time who felt betrayed. However, a story that initially seemed like a spy thriller quickly evolved into complex philosophical layers regarding memes, information control, and AI, themes that appear terrifyingly prophetic 2 decades later. From a technical and gameplay perspective, MGS2 was a complete showcase of the PlayStation 2's power. The gameplay took a revolutionary leap, particularly in combat and AI. For the first time, shooting different parts of an enemy's body triggered distinct reactions. A shot to its leg caused limping, while hitting the arm prevented accurate return fire. Another stunning tactical detail was that if a player targeted and destroyed the radio on a guard's chest, they could no longer call for reinforcements or sound the alarm. These details, combined with a rock-solid 60 frames per second frame rate and destructible physics, set a new industry standard. The reaction to the game was a mix of absolute praise and shock. Critics from sites like IGN and GameSpot lauded the graphics and polished gameplay, and an extraordinary Metascore of 96 placed it among the greatest games of all time. Although the controversy over replacing Snake with Raiden persisted for a while, time has vindicated the artistic value of Kojima's decision. With over 7 million copies sold, MGS2 was not only a massive commercial success, but also the title that established video games as a serious medium for philosophical storytelling. Number 3. Resident Evil 4, Metascore 96, release 2005. Release platforms: PlayStation 2, Windows, Xbox 360, GameCube. Cost $10 to $20 million. Sell 13 million copies. Playtime: Story Mode 15 hours, Main plus Extras 19 hours, Completion 31 hours. Resident Evil 4 represented more than a continuation of a beloved franchise. It marked a pivotal turning point that bifurcated the history of third-person shooters. The sixth main installment, developed by the legendary Capcom under the direction of Shinji Mikami, reinvented the series. Set 6 years after the Raccoon City incident, the narrative follows Leon S. Kennedy, no longer a rookie but a veteran special agent, deployed to a desolate Spanish village to rescue the president's daughter, Ashley Graham. Here, the threat is no longer the slow-moving zombies, but the Ganados, intelligent, hostile villagers controlled by an ancient parasite. In terms of gameplay, Resident Evil 4 introduced a radical departure from tradition. It abandoned fixed camera angles in favor of the over-the-shoulder view, a mechanic that enhanced precision and influenced countless titles, such as Gears of War. The attaché case inventory management system was widely praised as a game within a game. Graphically, it was a technical marvel on the GameCube and PS2, set in high standards with its atmospheric lighting, detailed character models, and location-based damage animations. Critics responded with universal acclaim. Outlets like IGN and GameSpot celebrated the daring transition from pure survival horror to action horror, awarding it a Metascore of 96. With over 13 million units sold across multiple platforms, its commercial success is undeniable. However, its true legacy is its impact on players. Many die-hard fans, myself included, consider Resident Evil 4 to be the franchise's zenith. By striking a flawless balance between action and tension, it stands as one of the industry's essential masterpieces. Number 2. Grand Theft Auto 3, Metascore 97, release 2001. Release platforms: PlayStation 2, Windows, Xbox. Cost $5 million. Sell 14.5 million copies. Playtime: Story Mode 14 hours, Main plus Extras 20 hours, Completion 36 hours. When Grand Theft Auto 3 hit the shelves in October 2001, the video game industry felt a tremor whose aftershocks are still being felt today. Developed by DMA Design, later renamed Rockstar North, this title, the third main entry in the franchise, accomplished a mission impossible, transposing the successful formula of top-down 2D games into a fully 3D, living, and dynamic world. The story unfolds in the dark, rainy streets of Liberty City, inspired by New York. You step into the shoes of Claude, a silent and at the time nameless protagonist. After being betrayed by his girlfriend, Catalina, during a bank heist, he is wounded and arrested but escapes during a freak accident, entering the city's mafia underworld to seek revenge and power. In terms of gameplay, GTA 3 was the very definition of a sandbox. For the first time, players were let loose in a 3D city where they could steal any car, go anywhere, and tackle missions however they saw fit. The variety of missions, ranging from police chases to contract killings, alongside side hustles like taxi driving and firefighting, offered a level of freedom previously unheard of. Visually, rendering a metropolis with a day-night cycle, dynamic weather, and live traffic on PlayStation 2 hardware was a stunning technical achievement. Although character models and animation might look simple by modern standards, in 2001, Liberty City was the most alive digital world ever created. The reaction went beyond mere praise. It was a cultural phenomenon. Critics at IGN and GameSpot lauded the developers' audacity in creating such a bold world, and a staggering Metascore of 97 placed this game alongside history's greatest masterpieces. Of course, the game's unfiltered violence sparked a significant media controversy, which only fueled its fame further. Selling 14.5 million copies on the PS2 alone, GTA 3 not only turned Rockstar into an industry titan, but also established the open world genre as we know it today. Undoubtedly, every modern open world game owes a debt to Claude's boldness and the streets of Liberty City. Number 1. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Metascore 97. Release 2001. Release platforms PlayStation 2, Windows, Xbox. Cost $5 million. Sell 4.5 million copies. Playtime, story mode 7 hours, main plus extras 15 hours, completion 38 hours. Released in 2001, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 marked the moment the series transcended being just a great game to become a flawless legend. This masterpiece, the third entry in the beloved franchise developed by the capable team at Neversoft, arrived at a perfect cultural intersection. In the early 2000s, skateboarding and extreme sports were at the peak of global popularity, fueled by the X Games, with Tony Hawk reigning as the era's ultimate icon. Beyond that, punk rock music, baggy clothing, and the street culture were the mainstream. THPS 3 wasn't just a well-crafted game, it encapsulated the pop culture of that specific time. Critics and gamers weren't just rating mechanics, they were drawn to its cool factor and how perfectly it aligned with the zeitgeist, delivering exactly what the youth of that generation craved. While the game lacks a traditional linear narrative, the career mode structure, offering a checklist of engaging goals per level like collecting SKATE letters, finding secret tapes, and interacting with dynamic environments, provided endless motivation. However, what truly revolutionized THPS 3 was the introduction of a simple yet vital mechanic, the revert. In previous entries, combos ended once a player came down a vert ramp. With the revert, players could link their landing into a manual on the ground, stringing together infinite combos that spanned the entire map. This single change deepened the gameplay exponentially. Technically, this was the series' first true showcase on powerful PlayStation 2 hardware. Highly detailed environments like the Foundry or cruise ship combined with a rock-solid 60 frames per second created an incredibly smooth experience. It was even a pioneer for online play on the PS2. The reception was unparalleled. With a staggering Metascore of 97, it sits at the top of the all-time charts alongside titles like GTA 3. Critics from IGN and GameSpot praise its intelligent level design and perfect balance. Selling over 4.5 million copies, it set a standard that even future entries struggle to match. 3PS3 is the precise definition of pure fun in video games.